The outcast from the stars of the night was quiet on Outpost 12. Only the soft hum of machines and the distant wind could be heard. Commander Ray Carter sat alone on his porch, drinking recycled water from a metal cup. He had lived here for 3 years, far from Earth, far from war, far from people. Suddenly, a loud boom broke the silence. The ground shook. Ray stood up quickly, dropping his cup. A bright flash lit the dark sky, followed by smoke rising in the distance. "What was that?" he whispered. "A crash. A ship. But not human." Ray grabbed his old rifle and ran toward the smoke. About 1 kilometer from his cabin, he found it. A small, alien pod half buried in the red sand. Sparks flew from broken wires. Steam hissed from cracks. The door of the pod was open, just a little. He pointed his rifle, ready for anything. Then he heard it. A soft cry. Not a roar. Not a scream. A cry. Like a scared child. Ray stepped closer. He looked inside. There she was, an alien, curled up, bleeding, shivering. She looked like a girl, but not human. Her skin was pale silver, her hair dark and glowing slightly, blue. Her eyes, closed but strange. Ray had seen many aliens in his time. Most of them dangerous, some were friendly, but this one, she looked like she was running from something. He took a step back. Then he heard voices in his earpiece. "This is Security Team Gamma. We detected the crash. Any visual?" Ray pressed the button. "Yes, it's a small pod, 1 occupant, she's alive." "Alien?" "Yes." "Stay back, Commander. Orders are to report and wait. Do not engage." Ray looked at the girl again. She was barely breathing. "She's not a threat," he said. "Commander, that species is Class 5 hostile. Do not help it." He remembered the war, the orders, the deaths. But he also remembered something else. His daughter. How she used to cry when she was scared. How he held her, calmed her. She died. In the war. A war started by fear. Ray shut off the comms. He put down his rifle. Then slowly, he climbed into the pod and picked her up. Back at his cabin, Ray placed her on the table and began treating her wounds. He didn't know her biology, but he used what tools he had. She flinched once, then went still. "Who are you?" he asked softly. "Why are you here?" She didn't answer. He waited, watching over her through the night. Hours passed. Just before dawn, she moved. Her eyes opened. They were bright blue, glowing, but not angry, not wild. They looked afraid. She stared at him for a moment. Then, in a broken, slow voice, she spoke. "Don't let them find me." Ray leaned forward. "Who's after you?" She closed her eyes again. "My own kind." By morning, the colony sent drones to search the crash site. Ray pretended he had found nothing. The pod was gone. He buried it deep in the sand, but word was spreading. A dangerous alien was loose near Outpost 12. Ray kept her hidden in the storage room under his cabin. She ate little, spoke less, but each day she grew stronger. One night she told him her name. Xilari. He repeated it slowly. "Xilari, why are your people hunting you?" She looked away. "Because I refused to kill." Ray didn't speak for a long time. Finally he said, "Maybe you're not so different from us." That week, someone knocked on Ray's door. It was Colonel Wyatt from the colony's main base. 3 soldiers stood behind him. "We're searching the area," Wyatt said. "The alien might be hiding nearby." Ray kept his face calm. "I haven't seen anything." "Your comms were off," the colonel said. "That's against protocol. Bad signal. Old system." Wyatt stepped closer. "If you see anything at all, you report it, do you understand?" Ray nodded. "Of course." As they left, Ray looked toward the hills. He knew they would come back. Inside the storage room, Xilari was listening. "They will kill me if they find me," she said. Then, "We won't let them," Ray replied. "Why are you helping me?" Ray looked at her. This alien girl from a deadly species, hunted by her own people. He didn't have an answer. Not yet. But he knew one thing. The galaxy was wrong about her, and maybe, just maybe, one human could make it right. Hunted by her own. The night was cold, and silent winds passed over Outpost 12. Inside the small underground storage room, Zalari sat alone in the shadows. She was no longer weak, but something inside her still trembled. Ray was upstairs, pretending to sleep, listening for footsteps that might come to his door. He knew this wasn't over. Hiding an alien was not just illegal, it was dangerous. And Zalari wasn't just any alien. She was something the galaxy feared, but no one ever asked why. Zalari had nightmares. They came in flashes. Black ships flying through fire, children crying, cities falling, and in every dream one thing stayed the same, a voice in her mind, cold and cruel. Traitor. You chose the humans over your own blood. She would wake up gasping, eyes glowing, heart racing, and every time Ray would be there, silent, watching her with a calm that didn't match the danger they were in. "You were dreaming again," he said one night. "They're not dreams," Zalari whispered. "They're memories." The next morning, the colony base sent out a new alert. Unknown alien threat confirmed. Species, Varelian. Approach with caution. Reward for capture, 500,000 credits. Ray stared at the screen. "They're putting a price on your head," he told her. Zalari didn't react. "Of course. They want me silenced." "Why?" "Because I saw something," she said. "Something they were building. A weapon. Not just for war. For extinction." Ray leaned forward. "A planet killer." Zalari nodded. "They called it the Mind Flare. It can destroy not just life but thought, memory, culture, everything, erased. And you tried to stop it?" "I refused to join the Mind Link," she said. "They said I was weak, emotional, infected by human thinking." She looked away. "So, I ran." That night they heard it, the sound of metal wings in the sky, Varelian seeker drones. Ray rushed outside. Above, 3 black machines flew in slow circles, scanning the area. Red lights searched the ground. "They're tracking me," Zalari said, stepping beside him. "They don't need eyes. They use emotion scent. I have to leave." "No," Ray said. "You won't survive alone. And you won't survive with me." Before Ray could reply, one of the drones stopped. It hovered above them. Then its red light turned directly towards Zalari. "They found me." "Get inside," Ray shouted. They ran into the cabin as the drone fired. The blast hit the outer wall, sending sparks flying. Ray grabbed his old pulse rifle, one he had sworn never to use again. Zalari stood still, her hands glowing with a strange light. "What are you doing?" he asked. "What I was trained for," she said quietly. "But I won't kill." She raised her hands and the drone outside began to shake in the air, its systems failing. Then suddenly it dropped to the ground. Silent, Ray looked at her. "You could have destroyed it." "I'm not them," she replied. The next day they fled the outpost. Ray packed what little they had, food, tools, data disks, and hid Zalari in the back of his old rover. They drove east into the wastelands where no signals reached and no rules followed. The land was rough. Dry mountains and dark skies. They found shelter in a cave near a deep canyon. It was here, in silence, that Zalari finally told the truth. "I wasn't just any soldier," she said. "I was born in the core nest, trained to lead. The Mind Flare was supposed to be under my command." "Then why run?" Ray asked. "Because," she said, voice shaking, "when they linked my mind to the weapon, I saw what it would do. I saw entire planets turn gray, people losing their names, their histories, their songs. I couldn't let that happen." Ray stared at her, unsure what scared him more, that she had been meant to destroy or that she now chose not to. They weren't alone for long. On the third night, Ray woke to movement. Figures, tall, cloaked, fast, were moving near the canyon edge. Varelian hunters, Solari said, eyes wide. Not machines, not drones, real ones. How did they find us? She pointed to her neck. They left a trace in me when I was born. A signal. I can't remove it, I'm a walking target. Ray didn't speak. Instead, he walked over to his backpack and pulled out a black chip. Then we find someone who can remove it, he said. But we'll need to go dark, off-grid. No colony, no tech. There's one place, Solari said slowly. Old ruins on planet Corvel, long abandoned. But there's a rebel there. Someone who once tried to stop the weapon too. Can we trust them? No, she said, but we don't have a choice. As the first light of dawn touched the canyon, Ray looked out over the wasteland. He was no longer just a soldier. No longer just a man hiding from the past. He was part of something bigger now. Something terrifying. Something worth fighting for. They moved fast. No more names. No more signals. Just one goal. To stay ahead of the hunters. To shut down a weapon before it killed worlds. And to prove, even in a galaxy of fear, that one human could make a difference. Secrets of the alien mind, the desert stretched endlessly around them. Old winds howled between the sharp canyon walls. Ray drove the rover across cracked stone and forgotten paths, the sky above dark and clouded. Beside him, Zilari sat silently, eyes fixed on the horizon. But her mind was far away. She hadn't spoken in hours, but her body trembled slightly, like a machine about to overload. What's happening to you? Ray asked, not looking away from the road. My mind is changing, she said in a soft voice. The more distance we put between us and my people, the louder the noise gets inside me. What noise? Their thoughts, their commands, their hate. They stopped that night near the edge of an ancient dry riverbed. Broken statues worn by wind and time marked the remains of a forgotten alien civilization. Ray set up camp while Zilari sat near the firelight, her eyes flickering between calm and chaos. Then it began. Her hands twitched, her breath grew sharp. They're inside again, she whispered. They're searching for me. Ray turned to her. Who? Not the hunters, she said. Not the soldiers, the Mind Corps. What's that? She stared at him. A network, part of every Varelian commander. It watches, it listens, it connects. I was once part of it. Now, it wants me back, or dead. Suddenly her body jolted. Her eyes turned white. Zilari! Ray grabbed her shoulders. Her voice changed. Deep, robotic, emotionless. Target mind identified, code anomaly detected, traitor status confirmed, initiating remote override. Ray pulled her close. Fight it, Zilari, you're stronger than them, she gasped. A shockwave pulsed from her chest, pushing him backward. Then, silence. She collapsed. Hours later, she woke up. I saw it again, she said, barely able to speak. The weapon, the mind flare. It's no longer just a plan, it's real, already online, orbiting a dead star. Ray's face went pale. How do you know? Because part of me is still linked, and I saw the target list. She paused, eyes wet with fear. Earth is on it. For the first time, Ray felt the cold grip of hopelessness. They weren't just running from hunters. They were running out of time. What do we do? He asked. I know where we can find the override. Key, she said. But it's dangerous. The key isn't a code, it's a living I-core, an ancient one. And it only exists in one place. Where? Corvel. The forbidden world. Ray's hands tightened into fists. That planet's toxic. It's locked by the Galactic Treaty. Then we break the treaty, she said. The next few days were a blur. They stole an old space jumper from a derelict port and left orbit in the dead of night. No signals. No flight path. Off the grid. Solari grew weaker as they approached Corvel. The closer they got, the more the Mind Corps pulled at her, trying to control her again. but Ray never left her side. "You're not a weapon," he said. "You're a person." "You don't understand," she whispered. "My people don't believe in identity, only the mission. I was built, not born." He looked into her eyes. "Then maybe it's time you chose who you want to be." They landed on Corvell under heavy radiation storms. The world was a graveyard. Metal ruins, shattered towers, and skies filled with thunder. The AI core was buried deep in a vault beneath an old research facility. They entered through a broken tunnel, dodging collapsed ceilings and ancient defense bots. Inside the vault, the walls glowed with strange symbols, and at the center, a black orb hovered in midair. "That's it," Solari said. "The core." Ray stepped closer. "How does it work?" "It doesn't let you use it, it lets you speak to it if it trusts you." She reached out her hand. The orb blinked once, then turned red. "Unauthorized user." Subject: Solari. Designation: Traitor, preparing mental purge. Ray fired his rifle at the ceiling, breaking a power conduit. Sparks flew, the orb pulsed, then powered down. For a moment. That moment was enough. Solari touched the orb again. This time, it responded. Identity conflict. Traitor status confirmed. Emotional variance detected. Evaluating. She fell to her knees. The orb scanned her mind, her memories, her choices, her fear, her refusal to kill. Then, the voice changed. "Traitor, or evolution," Solari whispered. "I don't want to destroy. I want to protect. If that makes me a traitor, then so be it." Baibor. Orb went silent, then opened. Inside was the key, a fragment of code. Pulsing. Alive. They escaped as the vault collapsed behind them. Back on the jumper, Ray stared at the key. "Can this stop the mind flare?" "No," Solari said. "But it can lead us to the control chamber." "Where is it?" "At the center of the mind flare weapon, orbiting the dead star Veltor." "How do we get there?" She looked at him with a small, sad smile. "We'll need help, and there's only one group crazy enough to fight the Virelians." Ray nodded. "The rebels." But what they didn't know was that someone was already watching them. A signal, faint but deadly, was sent the moment the core activated. And, now, a hunter fleet was on its way, not just to kill Solari, but to destroy anything and anyone who dared protect her. Forbidden World space was quiet, too quiet. The stolen ship drifted through the edge of dead space, an area untouched by light, sound, or law. The engines hummed low. Radiation scratched against the hull like whispers of something ancient. Solari sat in silence, eyes fixed on the glowing star map. The key she took from Corvell pulsed slowly in her palm. "It's pointing us there," she said. Ray stood beside her. He didn't like what he saw. A dark red star, long since dead, floated at the center of a forgotten system. Orbiting it was a giant black shape like a ring made of shadow and metal. "That's the mind flare?" Ray asked. "Yes," Solari answered. "But what you see is only its shell. The real weapon is inside." "And the control chamber?" "The core. It's buried at the heart. Only someone like me can enter it." Ray looked at her. "And survive?" She didn't answer. As they approached, the ship shook violently. Scanners stopped working. Systems flickered. "It's a psychic field," Solari said. "The mind flare protects itself not with weapons but with fear." "It's trying to scare us off?" "No," she said. "It's trying to break us." Ray's hands tightened on the controls. "We go in anyway." The docking bay was empty, cold, massive, filled with floating ash. Ray stepped out first, his gun raised. Solari followed, the override key clutched in her hand like a fragile flame. The place felt alive, like something was watching. As they walked deeper, old memories began to rise. For Ray, it was the war, his team screaming, dying, fire in his lungs. For Solari, it was worse. She saw herself as a child, trained with no kindness, made to destroy, made to forget. Suddenly she dropped to her knees. It's using my own past, she said. It's rewriting me. Fight it, Ray shouted. I can't. He knelt beside her, grabbed her face. Zalari, listen to me. This thing wants you to believe you're still their weapon. But you're not. You left them. You chose a different path. She looked up, tears in her eyes. I don't know who I am anymore, Ray said softly. Then let's find out together. They reached the control chamber. At the center of a giant black dome, a floating orb pulsed with red light. Cables moved, like snakes, and in the middle, a throne, but not empty. Someone was already there. A tall figure, armor black and smooth, eyes glowing white. You've come far, the figure said, but not far enough. Zalari froze. Commander Valak. Yes, the figure replied. Your mentor, the one who raised you to lead, and the one who will end you. Ray raised his rifle. We're shutting this down. Valak didn't even flinch. You think it matters? This weapon doesn't need commands. It reads will. And billions of Varelians want one thing, domination. Zalari stepped forward. I won't let you control me again. Valak tilted his head. You can't stop what you are. Then he pressed a button on his arm. The weapon began to hum. Outside the dome, huge energy waves circled the ring. Data on the console screamed warnings. Target locked. Earth initiation sequence. In progress. Time to impact. 0015. Ray shouted, We have to stop it. Zalari ran toward the throne. The control orb glowed bright red. Valak moved fast, blade out. Ray intercepted him. They fought, brutal, close, and bloody. Ray wasn't as strong, but he fought like a man with nothing left to lose. Meanwhile, Zalari connected the override key to the orb. The system resisted. Unauthorized override. Mind link required. She hesitated. To stop the weapon, she had to connect herself fully again, to the same hive that once broke her. I'll lose myself, she whispered. Ray, bleeding, shouted from the floor, and then remember who helped you find yourself again. Zalari closed her eyes. She took a deep breath, and she stepped in. Her body froze. But inside her mind, a war began. Voices screamed at her. Traitor, return arrays. But she fought back. Not with violence, with memory. She showed them her journey. The pain she saw. The people she saved. The man who helped her find her voice. I am not your weapon, she said in the shared mind. I am not your enemy. I am your future. The mind flare pulsed. Then, it went silent. Valak collapsed. The connection broken. The orb turned blue. Override accepted shutdown sequence. Initiated targeting canceled. Ray crawled toward her. She was still standing, but her body flickered with light. You did it, he whispered. No, she said softly. We did. Then, she collapsed. Hours passed. The mind flare powered down. The black ring now floated like a ghost above the dead star. Ray carried Zalari to the ship. She was breathing, but barely. They had stopped a galaxy killer, but in doing so, they had become enemies of an empire. And somewhere deep in space, Varelian warships were already turning toward Earth. Betrayal at the edge of space was quiet once again. The mind flare weapon now floated lifeless, its deadly glow gone, like a dragon turned to stone. But Ray knew silence didn't mean safety. Zalari lay unconscious in the ship's medpod. Her mind had survived the link, but her body, barely. The override had cost her everything: strength, balance, energy. Ray stayed by her side, watching the lines on the scanner. Heartbeat. Slow, but steady. You did it, he whispered. You saved them all. Now it's my turn to save you. Ray couldn't do it alone. He needed help. And there was only one place to go. A rebel station hidden in a broken asteroid belt far beyond. Galactic law. It was called Sorrow Point, not because of the place, but because of what people brought there. Pain, guilt, and secrets. The rebels here weren't heroes. They were survivors, and Ray knew one of them. Commander Lena Varek. Once a soldier like him. Now a war criminal in hiding, she had resources, medtech, and a fleet, but she also had a price and a past. When Ray landed the ship, the rebel guards circled immediately. Weapons drawn. State your name, one shouted. Tell Varek that Ray Carter's here, he replied, and tell her it's about the mind flare. They stared at him, then opened the gate. Varek waited for him in a steel-walled command chamber, her boots resting on a cracked console, drink in hand, eyes sharp as ever. Well, well, she said. I thought you were dead. Almost, Ray said. But I brought something more dangerous than death. He told her everything, about Zilari, the weapon, the override, the shutdown. She listened carefully, then smiled. Interesting, she said. And now she's in a coma? She'll wake up. I need your help to treat her. And then what, walk away? We need your fleet, Ray said. Varelian warships will come. They'll want revenge, not just for the weapon, but for Zilari's betrayal. Varek stood up. You want me to protect the alien girl who shut down their crown jewel? She's not their weapon anymore, Ray said. She's one of us. Maybe, Varek said, her voice cold. Or maybe she's still playing you. Ray frowned. I trust her. Then you're a bigger fool than I thought. Still, Varek agreed to help. Zilari was moved into a high-tech medbay. The rebels began preparing defenses. Ships refueled. Weapons loaded. Old alliances reawakened. But deep in the shadows of the station, something moved. Zilari woke. She was weak, but aware. Where are we? She asked, her voice thin. Ray smiled. Safe, for now. Varek's helping. Her expression darkened. Varek, the Shadow Commander. She used to work with the Varelians, long ago. She betrayed her own for power. Ray froze. You think she'll betray us? Zilari didn't answer. She didn't need to. That night, Ray found Varek alone in the war room. Maps glowed across the wall. Ships marked in red and blue danced in projections. I know what you're thinking, she said without turning. You think I'll sell you out? Will you? He asked. She looked at him, her eyes cold and honest. If it keeps my people alive, yes. She's not a threat. Doesn't matter, Varek said. You brought the war to my doorstep. If I hand her over, maybe the Varelians won't burn us all. Ray stepped closer. Then you're no better than them. No, she said. I'm worse. Because I know I'm a monster. The next morning, alarms rang. Ray ran to the docking bay. A single ship was leaving. On board, Zilari, unconscious again, sealed in a stasis pod. And beside her, Varek's second-in-command, Corvin. Ray shouted, Shut the doors! She's selling her! Out! It was too late. The ship launched. Varek met Ray in the hallway. He pulled a gun. You said you'd help. I did, she replied calmly. I kept her alive. I made a choice. You handed her to the Varelians. No, she said. I handed her to someone else. Ray paused. What do you mean? An old contact inside the Varelian resistance. Not loyal to the Empire, not loyal to me, but loyal to her. Ray didn't lower the gun. If she dies, Varek, so do you. Fair, she said. But you might want to get off this rock before the Empire finds out what you've done. Ray didn't trust her, but he had no choice. He took a stolen fighter and followed the signal left by the departing ship. Hours passed, then he found it. A rogue freighter floating in the shadow of a dead moon. Inside, chaos. The crew dead. Corvin's body burned. No sign of Zilari. Only one message left behind. You took her from us, now we take her back. The trial of traitors has begun, it was signed by the high mind of the Varelian Empire. For the first time, Ray realized something terrifying. Shutting down the weapon wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something worse. Zilari wasn't just a fugitive anymore. She was a symbol, and both The Empire and the rebels wanted to control that symbol or destroy it. And somewhere in the dark she was alone again. Maybe dying, maybe fighting, maybe. Rising, Ray stared out at the stars. "I'm coming for you," he said, and this time, he wouldn't ask anyone for help. The human choice. The stars drifted quietly above the ruined planet Corvos 3, a shattered world turned into a prison without walls. Deep inside a hidden temple built by the ancient Varelians, Xalari was trapped, chained not by steel but by a prison of the mind. The Empire hadn't killed her. They needed her alive, because only she could unlock the mind flare again, and they wanted it back. Ray's ship tore him, through dead space like a bullet fired by hope and rage. He hadn't slept in 2 days, he hadn't spoken to anyone, he didn't need to. His mission was clear: get her back, or die trying. On the dark side of Corvos 3, the temple was surrounded by Imperial forces. Ray couldn't go through them, so he went beneath them. He landed far from the main camp, geared up and disappeared into underground caves, old lava tubes from a forgotten age. Dark, cold, unstable. A wrong step meant death. But Ray didn't stop. He had made his choice. Inside the temple, Xalari sat in a glowing circle of light. Her skin flickered with data. They had reconnected her mind to the hive, but not completely. Just enough to tempt her. Just enough to break her. One voice kept echoing in her head. "You can save your people, Xalari. All it takes is one word, one command. Activate the mind flare. Restore our power." But she said nothing, again and again. They increased the pain. They showed her images of Earth, cities burning, oceans boiling, children screaming. "You could stop this," they whispered, "if you returned to us." And for a moment, she almost believed them. Ray emerged from the caves like a shadow rising from death. He was bruised, bleeding, tired, but alive. He found the temple's rear access panel, ancient alien locks, but he didn't hack it. He remembered something Xalari once said. "My people don't build with hands, they build with thought." He focused his mind, touched the panel, and whispered, "I'm not Varelian, but I'm here for one." The door opened. Inside he found her, barely conscious, surrounded by guards. The high mind stood over her, a tall, robed figure with no face, only a mask made of silver. "She's coming back to us," he said. Slowly, as all broken things must. Ray raised his gun. "Step away." The high mind laughed. "Do you think a weapon like that matters here?" Ray fired anyway. The shot hit the guard next to Xalari. The others rushed forward. Ray fought like a man with nothing left to lose. And that made him unstoppable. In the chaos, Xalari's chains broke, but her mind was still trapped. She stood, eyes glowing, caught between two choices. The hive whispered, promises of power and peace. Ray called out to her. "It's your choice now." She turned to the high mind. "You said I had no choice," she said, "because choice is weakness." She stepped forward. "Then let me show you the strength of weakness." She raised her hands and did something no Varelian had ever done. She chose to sever the link, not shut it off, not hide it, destroy it. The connection burned inside her brain. Her skin cracked. Her voice screamed through the air like thunder. And the hive went silent. The high mind collapsed. So did the other guards. The entire network shattered like glass. But Xalari was falling too. Ray caught her just before she hit the ground. Her breathing was shallow. Her pulse faint. "You did it," he whispered. Her eyes flickered open. "No, we did." They escaped in silence, flying through the ashes of what was once the Empire's greatest power. Xalari's body would heal, but her mind was different now, free, fragile, and human. Days later, in a quiet field on an untouched world, Ray sat beside her under the stars. "You could have killed them all," he said. "The ones who hurt you, the ones who hunted us." She nodded. "I know." But you didn't. She looked up at the sky. I didn't want to win like them. Then she looked at Ray. I wanted to live like you. He smiled, tired but proud. You made the human choice. And for the first time since they met, she smiled too. Not so different. After all weeks passed since the hive fell, the galaxy was still quiet, almost too quiet. But peace was not peace when it was built on fear, and somewhere out there, in the ruins of the Empire, the true storm was forming. On a neutral station near the galactic border, a council met, made of humans, aliens, ex-rebels, diplomats, and opportunists. They all wanted to know one thing. Who is she? A girl once feared, once hunted, now called a hero by some, and a threat by others. Celery stood in front of them. No chains this time, no guards. Just her. Silver skin. Human soul. And a voice no longer shaking. I am not here to beg, she said. I am here to tell you the truth. They leaned in. Some suspicious. Some curious. Your governments will say I was built to kill. That I turned against my own kind. That I cannot be trusted. She nodded slowly. All of that is true. Murmurs spread across the chamber. Then she raised her hand. But I also chose, and when I chose, I saved your world. You did it to survive, one councilman shouted. Not out of kindness. Solari turned toward him. What is kindness if not a choice? You speak of survival. I had power to destroy planets. But I didn't. I let it go. She paused. That's not survival. That's humanity. Outside the station, Ray waited, watching the stars. He didn't care about councils or titles. He only cared if she came back whole. Every part of her. Meanwhile, across space, the last surviving fragments of the Varelian Empire burned their symbols and changed their names. But one ship, the last dreadnought of the Inner Empire, activated its engines. A new warlord had risen. He wasn't a believer in the hive. He believed in rage, and his first target was the woman who betrayed them all. Back on the station, the vote began. To exile Zalari, to imprison her, or to accept her as something new, not human, not Varelian, but something in between. A bridge. The vote was tied until one final voice spoke. Not from the council, from behind them. Ray Carter. He stepped forward, uninvited, unwelcome, but impossible to ignore. She saved us, he said. She gave up everything and she still asks for nothing. Why? A councilwoman asked. Ray smiled. Because she finally understands the one thing your empires forgot. Mercy doesn't make you weak. It makes you worth saving. The room went silent. And in that silence, the vote turned. Solari was granted freedom, not as a citizen, not as a soldier, but as something rare, a survivor, a living warning, a living hope. A week later, on a green world untouched by war, Ray and Zalari walked together through the grass. He handed her something, an old Earth item, a tiny book, the Little Prince. She looked at the pages. This is strange, she said. It's about a boy who tames a fox? It's about learning to see with the heart, Ray said. You'll like it. She smiled, softer now. I already do, but peace never lasts. A signal arrived that night. Encrypted, military grade, from deep space. Unknown vessel entering human space. Armed, approaching fast. Message from the ship. Return the traitor. Or burn. Ray looked at Zalari. She didn't blink. Then we show them, she said. Show them what? She looked at the stars. That I'm not their weapon. Then she turned to him. I'm our shield now. The final shot. The two of them side by side. Human and alien. A fighter pilot and a psychic defector. No longer outcasts. No longer afraid. Ready for whatever comes next. Because in the end, they weren't so different after all.